Hello and welcome to Beacon of Creation, a weekly podcast on game design through the lens of Magic the Gathering. I'm Juliet.
And I'm Tim.
And we've got a follow-up to our Febru-Air Elemental Design Challenge. We've got so many great submissions. We're excited to dive into those. This design challenge was to design a 4/4 flyer with mana value 5, that's an air elemental, and Febru-Air Angel as a bonus point. That's give it exactly one other keyword, like a Sarah Angel. And Febru-Air is human. Make it a human.
Yeah, and we've seen a bunch of variations of what human means, like things that are close to human, stuff like that. But yeah, it's mostly just been these like kind of reasonably costed big flyers with some sort of upside. A 4/4 is good enough for blocking typically, unlike a lot of flyers. So you have this really flexible creature, and then I don't know, kind of a design decision of what you want to add on top of that.
That makes sense. What's our first submission for today?
Our first card is from Red Bay, and it's called a Leisure Blimp. It's 5 mana for a 4/4 flying vehicle, so not a creature to start. When this vehicle enters, travel to the destination of your choice. If you travel to a new destination this way, create a 1/1 white human creature token. The destinations are Benalia, Llanowar, Shiv, Voda, and Urborg. That's crew 1. Got a new mechanic here.
So this is not plain chase jumping to.
Apparently not.
Right. I feel like some but not all of these are planes.
These are all locations on Dominaria.
Right. How do you feel about vehicles that provide their own means of crewing?
Yeah. We've got like a turtle blimp in the most recent set. Yeah.
I think of Essica's Chariot as kind of
that's the gold standard, yeah.
The big one, which is a 4/4 for 3 and a green that creates 2/2 cats, and then crew 4, but you're getting 4 power, and so then you can do that, and then you can keep making tokens. And I think from Aetherdrift, there's another chariot that's like zombie cats instead of god cats. You're making 2/2s that then get crews for 2.
Yeah, it's like a chariot that like brings back a small dead creature. So it's kind of in that same vein. Yeah, whatever traveling to a destination means, this really incentivizes doing this new destination thing because you get that crew that you're looking for. And then you have an air elemental.
So I guess the only way it wouldn't give you the 1/1 is if you've already traveled to all of the destinations, or if there are elements to these destinations that would make you, oh, hey, I really want to be on Benalia, but for some reason we're already at Benalia, so I don't want to travel to Llanowar and get the 1/1. It's like, well, that's the 1/1 is turning on a 4/4 flyer, so almost always, unless it's going to win my opponent the game next turn, I think I probably want to travel to a new destination.
Yeah, especially because this becomes a first turn blocker if you just travel to a new destination. Whatever that, we don't really know what traveling to a destination means, but yeah, this goes from like something where I have to have another creature out to then crew this to then block with this. If instead I just get my 1/1, now I've got all the crew I need. I guess a destination could sort of be like, hey, 1 of 5 buffs are active at any given time. Like white creatures get +1/+1 and creatures have vigilance, or, like it could change depending on like which destination the battle is currently on. So you could kind of swing based on what you care about in your deck, something like that. Because, yeah, the downside of this mechanic really implies, or the downside of this card, if you don't travel to a new destination, you don't get a 1/1. Kind of implies that each person will have like 1 or 2 destinations that they greatly favor.
Yeah. You can imagine it being dungeon-esque, but then it's travel to a destination, but is it just me traveling, or is this affecting everyone? Is this like a enchant world sort of situation where it's a stable factor for both? My imagination tells me, oh, each of these destinations is like a replacement effect place where, okay, Benalia, tokens that are created are instead like 2/2 for strikers, or, knights, that sort of thing. And Voda, whenever you cast a spell, you mill things or draw cards, we
Yeah.
can do sort of kind of looping, flavorful
Yeah, yeah.
aspects, but that's all conjecture.
Yeah. We know only barely what this card is trying to tell us. We got this is what it's like for new players to play EDH is reading this card.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think a 4/4 vehicle for 5 generic mana is, that's a 4/4 flyer. It has flying.
Yeah, how
It's supposed
good
to be
is just a colorless air elemental versus this card minus the effects of destinations? Like just enter, create a 1/1 crew. Is that better, worse than an air elemental?
I think on the whole, it is better
Hmm.
just because, you can use that additional cardboard in
Mhm.
that way, and usually, if it's an air elemental and not a Sarah Angel, if it doesn't have vigilance, the fact that you can only crew it to attack or crew it to block,
Hmm.
like, isn't that much of a cost, and, you know, we can substitute out that 1/1 for, if the 1/1 dies, well, you can have other opportunities to
Yeah,
get
to keep it crude.
a yeah. I'm double checking the specific wording. I tasked everyone to design a 4/4 flyer with mana value
Mm.
5, and I didn't say flying creature.
Oh, okay.
So
So still
that,
legal.
yeah, yeah. Thanks for the submission, and, listeners at home, tell us what you think traveling to a new destination with these 5 destinations,
Yeah.
Benalia, Llanoir, Shiv, Voda, and Urborg, what would that mean?
Love it.
Our next submission is from Xena,
Mhm,
and
mhm, mhm.
what a doozy.
Xena is unshackled by the easy to read qualifier on the last challenge.
I'm going to say I'm gonna allow this submission, but put a hard future submissions, no submitting 2 cards, even if they fit together, unless the challenge is
Mm,
to submit 2 cards that fit together. Because these 2 cards are 2 legends with partners with to kind of make 1 card together.
yeah,
Partners with, it tutors up the other card when you cast it. But
yeah.
anyways, these are Daedalus, Unheeded Cautioner, which is a 0/3 for 1 in a blue legendary creature human artificer. When Daedalus enters, create 2 colorless enchantment token auras with enchant creature, and enchanted creature has flying, named Wings. When another creature with more than 2 height dies, exile Daedalus and sacrifice each non creature, non land permanent you control. Tutor a god to your hand. Anything
Mhm.
that gives a creature flying, including individual counters, counts as height. And it
Ah,
has partners with Ikaros Hot-Headed Aviator, which is Ikaros Hot-Headed Aviator for 2 and a white. It's a 4/1 legendary creature human bard. As long as Ikaros has flying, it has indestructible, and each upkeep put a flying counter on this creature. Then, if it has 10 or more counters, sacrifice it. Ikaros can't be blocked by creatures with less height. Partners with Daedalus Unheeded Cautioner.
there you go. So Icaros uh, sort of can fly higher than other flyers, but
Mhm.
if it flies too high, it dies. And it gets higher every turn. Each upkeep put a flying counter on this creature.
It also 10 10 turns of getting more flying
Hmm.
is, I guess, 9 turns, 8 turns, depending on if you're putting all of the wings on Ikaros, who knows? That
Hmm.
gives you a lot of turns to attack in with your unblockable 4 power creature.
Yeah, yeah. 10 turns is like a life well lived. That's not cut down in your youth.
Mhm. This
uh,
naturally, I think, extremely clearly is pulling from the myth of, what we in English would say Daedalus and Icarus.
yeah. And between the two of them, there's a 4/1 for Icaros and a 0/3. So between the two of them, they're 4/4. And if you have Icaros out and then play Daedalus, Daedalus will make both of them flying. So then there'll be a 4/4 flyer between them.
Yeah, and we can, the ability to tutor a god to your hand is kind of interesting, maybe a reason to try to, kill off your Icarus
Yeah.
sooner or to get 2 height on. I mean, you are sacrificing all of your stuff except for your lands, but, like, that's fine if I can get the other
Uh,
parts of the, stuff together, as long as my god doesn't need devotion from other.
yeah. That's maybe where you get in trouble if you have to sacrifice your non-creatures and your god is still just you know, three devotion and inert.
Yeah, yeah. Tim, do you know for what crime Daedalus and Icarus were put up in the tower?
Like before they decided to start flying.
Yeah, yeah, they started
Oh.
flying because they were imprisoned in a tower, and so Daedalus, the
Overindulgence.
a good would make sense. Daedalus he designed the labyrinth
Oh.
in which the Minotaur became kept, and so
Huh.
King Minos had Daedalus basically imprisoned because, like, "Oh, you know,
Oh,
you."
to protect state secrets.
Yeah, and then Daedalus is like, "Well, I am this, like, very cunning,
Hmm.
creator and designer of things. I can design
Yeah.
wings with wax and feathers from the birds who are flying near our tower," and then we get the story of Icarus
Hmm.
flying too
Wow.
close to the sun.
It wasn't necessarily like a crime so much as they just,
Yeah.
yeah, he did too good a job, so now we have to continue.
Exactly, exactly. I think height could be fun, especially in, like, an acorn-esque environment. If we had,
Hmm.
like, a
Other
bunch
things
of
with height?
y
Yeah.
yeah, like the trapeze artists who would go from, like, one plane to another.
Uh,
If we had a flying circus themed acorn set, I
mhm.
think height could be like, yeah, we're leaning into the fact that almost every creature has flying by having flying be different heights.
Mhm, mhm. How good so if this is like a commander partner pair,
Mhm.
how does this work? So, Icaros can't give themselves flying, they just get extra flying if they already have flying.
Right.
So you need Daedalus or something else to give him flying repeatedly. Hmm. I guess tutoring gods, like you said, is pretty nice. I could put 2 or 3 choice gods in my deck.
Yeah, the fact that you could play any of the, like, cobbled wings, just the many different weird
Sure.
little equipment that give flying and not much else at a overcosted rate usually, but the fact that you have your other commander fairly
Mm,
cheaply can give you the flying. I think I would have most of the flying be provided by, Daedalus, and
hmm.
then have some gods that I want to cast in white blue, I suppose?
I guess if you have
Mm.
some like saboteur creatures, Daedalus is just a way to enter and give flying to 2 creatures.
Mm,
So it's
mhm.
just got like a high utility there for getting little guys in.
Yeah, yeah.
Indestructible on Icaros is kind of interesting, but I guess the hoop of needing to give him flying some other way is what makes that
Yeah,
palatable, I guess.
indestructible, unblockable
Yeah,
4
basically
power,
unblockable. Yeah, yeah.
I think definitely is a commander that other people will go, "Okay, here's why I have my, I don't know, Oblivion Ring or
Hmm.
Pacifism Aura or something that I can just kinda hit pause on that." If you put
Yeah,
Pacifism on an Ikaros, then he'll eventually remove himself from the battlefield so you can cast him again from the command zone.
yeah, I was trying to figure out if I was getting kind of True Name Nemesis original intention vibes from Icaros. Like, True Name Nemesis is this creature that enters and chooses a player, has protection from that player, which in one-on-one is kind of ludicrous. Like, it's just unblockable, unkillable, blah, blah, blah. But I think was meant to be sort of this commander thing of like, I could pick one person and always hit them if I want to. And Icaros maybe has some of that, like, I'm really hard to block, I'm pretty hard to kill, but I'm not necessarily threatening the table yet in a commander game.
Hmm, mhm.
And you can't Voltron too hard onto this guy because if you put 10 +1/+1 counters on him, he explodes.
Zeta, in her notes, does point out a thing I was thinking about,
Hmm.
the kind of non-bow with devotion, but she points out that Daedalus works well with Constellation by putting
Oh.
2 enchantment tokens
Hmm.
on the battlefield, so it's like, well, yeah, maybe I do wanna just put this out there just to get, multiple Constellation triggers. Seems fun.
Yeah, kind of like roll tokens from New Eldraine.
Mhm. Does
Yeah.
this count as a 4/4 flyer?
Yeah, it's close enough.
Yeah. It's a creative interpretation of the prompt. And are these humans?
Yes, but I do have a question. Is there any
Mhm.
mythological basis for Icarus being a bard? Was he like an artistic sort of individual?
It's possible, but I that's not something that comes to my mind. I think he's mostly, like, just younger and hot-headed and the sun, and
Hmm.
I think, like, "Oh, I'm gonna be flying so well that I'm, like, a show off," like,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
from, like, show off to bard.
Yeah, more of a human rake. I don't know.
But yeah, thanks for the submission, Zena.
Yeah. Next up, we've got a card from Mothyog. They said this prompt made them nostalgic for 6th edition. We'll see if that comes through in the card. The card is called Ghost in the Machine. Is 3 blue blue for a 4/4 flyer. That rare. When this creature enters, choose up to one target permanent you control with a subtype that isn't a creature type or basic land type. Put 4+1/+1 counters on it. It becomes a 0/0 creature with haste in addition to its other types, parentheses, indefinitely. And then also has evoke for 1 and a blue.
Okay. So for 3 blue and a blue, we can potentially get 2 4/4s,
Mm-hmm.
or for 1 and a blue, we can get 1 4/4.
Mm-hmm.
Permanents with a subtype that isn't a creature type or basic land type, so vehicles, equipment, lands with funny types that
Mm.
cave, I suppose, would be an example of a
Mm-hmm.
land type that isn't a basic land type.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is an interesting kind of way to narrow this ability that isn't a creature type or basic land type. Yeah. So, yeah, I think the target is food, map, mutagen,
Oh,
whatever.
yeah, any of the tokens, any
Yeah.
treasures, or could put on a saga if you really don't care about it sticking
There
around
you
very
go.
long.
Love that. Could you put it on an aura?
Sure. I just gets funny with the rules around creatures and auras.
Yeah.
Put it on a, like, Urza's land. It's
Mm.
a it's another subtype, I suppose.
Mm-hmm.
Planeswalkers.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, 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 yeah.
I flip my Tameo, my 1 mana creature Tameo that turns into a planeswalker, and then I ghost in the machine my Tameo to make her a
Smack him
creature
for
again.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are a bunch of these like animated artifact effects in the new Ninja Turtles set. So I've been playing
Mhm.
with this a fair amount. Like there's a Donatello that does it, and I think Pizza Face does it too. There's maybe 1 or 2 others. And this is pretty fearsome. Like even just animating one thing tends to be pretty nice, and
Mhm.
getting 4 counters, that's also pretty real. So like in a Ninja Turtles type set, like in that kind of environment, this card would be quite excellent.
Soul Artifact has been a,
Yeah.
like, fun, casual, constructed sort of strategy for quite a long time,
Yeah.
and occasionally dips into, like, competitive constructed
Hmm.
sort of
Hmm.
sort of environments depending on what the other speed and removal is in the format. The idea of, if you could get down a 1 mana, like,
Hmm.
reconfigure creature,
Yeah.
like, creature that is, like, artifact, creature, whatever creature type, and then equipment. It's like, well, a cr it has a creature type, but it also has a subtype that isn't a creature type, and then I'm putting 4 +1/+1 counters on it for 1 and a blue.
Hmm.
I'm I'm pretty happy with that rate for 1 and a blue, and then even if this didn't have evoke, I think it's a broodmate dragon, right? It's 2 4/4
Yeah. Okay.
flyers
Yeah.
for 5 mana instead of 6 Jund, it's 3 blue blue.
Yeah. I guess it's a little in the same vein as like Awaken. Not quite the
Mhm,
exact
mhm.
same thing, but that was the mechanic where you could basically like kick a spell. Like it's a bounce spell, but if you pay a bunch of extra mana, you get to animate one of your lands with a bunch of counters on it.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, this is certainly like uh, in limited, this is like a super high pick card. Very, very, very nice. I think the usual only downside of the big flyer is that like it can't block the other big creatures without dying, and then you're kind of out of luck. But here, it like spots you that second blocker, so that you have time to crack in with your 4/4 flyer a couple times.
Yeah.
Um,
The other thing that I think this wherever you would print this, you'd want to also be paying attention to what the other subtypes that are available are, because a lot of times those are kind of costed as, like, cheap or free, like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that this subtype only interacts with things that search it," but now that you have a thing that looks at, "Hey, does this have a subtype as a
Mm.
condition?"
Yeah.
That's now something to figure out, "Okay, what does that look like at common? What does that look like as, like, lands, that aren't vulnerable until they're a creature?" Different things like that.
Yeah. Like gates or something, desert. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Things that are almost free to put on a card. Yeah.
yeah,
Cool card.
but yeah, totally. I think this is pretty strong for a 6th edition card, which is, like I said, nostalgic for 6th edition, not
Mm,
not printed in 6th edition, but
I agree with
that's
that.
a yeah.
The evoke option, like, really, I think is the main thing that says, like, this is maybe aimed at like something you'd play in constructed. Like, if
Mhm.
it was just the enters trigger on a 4/4 flyer, that's maybe like a little clunky for a standard style card. But the evoke makes sure that like you're able to do that every game.
You wanna make this card, like, unstoppable,
Hmm.
uh, give this flash. So that you
Ah,
can both flash in 2 4/4s for 5
damn.
mana or flash in a a single 4/4 for 1 and a blue, like,
Yeah.
that's that's gonna eat
You need
people
some
alive.
green mixed in, I think, to get that level of flash block.
Hopefully, one
Yeah.
can only hope.
Yeah. Yeah. Sick card.
Not a human,
No, unfortunately.
but it does have flying and evoke, and yeah, works that way.
Oh yeah, we get the what did we call it last time? The
Let's
Eint
the
the Eint
yeah, the
point.
Eint bonus point.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
Listener, you too can have a bonus point named after you if you are
Submit
the
first.
first submission and choose to do the bonus points in a way that other people also do. Our next submission is from Kuyashi Plays. It's Take a Chance on Dragon.
Mm.
It's a 4/4 flyer for 2 red, red, red. So that's 5 mana, 3 of which is red. It's a mythic creature dragon, and has when this enters, take an extra turn after this one. At the beginning of that turn's end step, you lose the game.
Oh.
As long as you have one or fewer cards in hand, this creature has haste.
Hmm.
So a warrior's oath, a final fortune, etc. This little
There you go.
get an extra turn, but at the end of it, you'll lose the game, which normally this dragon will be able to attack on that extra turn. But as long as you don't have other business that you're going to be like comboing off with, you've got this kind of heck bent one or fewer cards in hand.
Yeah.
You're now attacking twice on this turn and on the extra turn.
Yeah, almost like a haste double strike ish
Hmm.
card here. I would default to expecting this to be a very good card. I That downside is a real downside, but even I think any mid-range deck with an additional turn and a flying haster on its side, like, it can close out a game. You don't have to just be like aggro, burning your opponent. You have any sort of board presence, this is game over.
I'd love to like do a few rituals, do an Iron Crag feat,
Mm.
do some stuff. I'd love to take a chance on dragon in some way on the board on turn 3. I think
Yeah,
that's the
you
the
might still win.
scary and aggressive, yeah, side of things where if I
Yeah.
can get this down and have some other creatures on the board, and then I'm basically saying, if I double all my creatures' power and hit you in the face, is that greater than your life total?
Hmm. Yeah, it might
Yeah.
still work there. This is like I would dislike if I had to play against this in standard queues on Arena very often.
Sure.
So I think to me the home that I would love to see this card is something like a cube, where
Mhm.
if you try a little hard, you build around a little bit, you get to do kind of a cool thing that everyone's like, "Oh, holy cow!" Yeah,
Do
put
you
this
have
as
feelings or opinions on, like, Sundial of the Infinite, or
try
or
to block
various
the downside, stifle the
Yeah.
effect or something. Yeah,
Mhm.
maybe that's more in the cube space too. I don't know.
Mhm.
I guess this could be a commander card, but yeah, maybe if you're red but not blue and you want to do extra turn stuff, you can get it this way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so maybe QB sort of. Yeah, because Sundial you can like tap to end the turn, which like knocks that trigger off the stack and keeps you alive.
I think it's interesting that it is sometimes worse than a 4/4 for 5, like,
Yeah.
sometimes worse than a super generic thing, but I think this also is going to as, like, a reading card, like, this is gonna inspire some, like, Timmies to become
Yeah.
Johnnies, if
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Mhm.
The, like, "Oh, this is so cool. Oh, wait, there are cards that let you trade this
Mm.
risk reward,
Mhm.
and it's a cool dragon that lets me do that. Yeah, I want to live or die like, live with this dragon if I die with this dragon." And then you start experimenting with deck building in that way.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, this is a fun card. It's definitely appealing. In a lot of my kind of set cubes, I sort of had the philosophy. I'd kind of collate them where I'd have like 2 rares per pack, and then the rest are a mixture of commons and uncommons
Mhm,
from all of Mirrodin Block or from all of Innistrad or whatever. And the sort of philosophy that I would have with rares in those cubes is like half the rares are good rares that you want to play, and half the rares are weird rares that you have to like kind of try hard and be inventive and get deck buildy to do. And this
mhm.
this card I think kind of straddles the line. I'm not sure which camp this card would fit into.
Yeah. A question for you, Tim. Is a creature dragon a human?
Oh, uh, I would say no. I don't know what this reference of this name is though. Take a chance on dragon.
Like, take a chance on me, but
Hmm.
dragon?
Oh, okay. All right. I
I
think
mean,
that's what it is.
that's as close as I can. If you change your mind, I'll be first in line.
And there you go.
Yeah, thanks for the submission.
Love it. Next up from James Dalton Bell, we've got Sarkin, Dragon General. 3 red red for a 4/4 with flying. It's a human dragon, notably. And in addition to flying, it also has haste. And then when this creature enters, gain control of all dragons, drakes, and worms until this leaves the battlefield. Other dragons, drakes, and worms you control have flying and haste.
Yeah. This, of course, pays off the foreshadowing from earlier when I asked whether a creature dragon was a human.
Yeah. Sarkin is like I don't know what like a furry is called if it's a lizard. Is there a
Scaly.
different
I mean,
scaly? Okay.
but that term is almost exclusively used in this kind of conversation. Like,
Hmm.
ultimately, I think the answer is, like, people who are interested in anthropomorphic animal, like,
Yeah.
storytelling, which
Yeah.
humans have always been interested in, just for
Sure.
the listener at home. Tim, I'm sure I don't need to tell you this, but for the listener at home, every origin myth from every culture is
Yeah.
is furry storytelling.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, I think Sarkhan is the human dragon in a
Mhm.
lot of ways.
Mhm. For sure. James even says in some notes here, this is kind of trinket text, meaning like this is cool text to read. They're like gain control of all dragon stuff, but it's a cool idea and people like dragons, he says. I guess like usually there's the like either Mirim or Dragon, or there's a couple other dragon commanders out there where someone plays that and then they start slamming dragons, 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 dragons. And if they don't burn everyone out that turn, you get to say, haha, here comes Sarkin. Let me borrow all those dragons for a moment. Tee him
Yeah.
on. Yeah.
If your opponent happens to play Hunted Dragon,
Hmm.
the old Ravnica,
Okay.
3 red and a red for a 6/6 flying haste. When it enters, your target opponent creates 3/2/2 white knight creature tokens with first
Hmm.
strike from that hunted cycle. So if
Hmm.
your opponent plays Hunted Dragon, they have the dragon and you get the knights, and then
Hmm.
you play Sarkhan, Dragon
Hmm.
General. So now you take their Hunted Dragon while also keeping the knight.
Hmm.
That's the magical Christmas land living the dream version of this, I think.
Maybe the other piece is if you have some way of giving everything all creature types, not just your own
Oh,
permanents.
sure. Yeah.
I don't know if that exists. Usually it's just your own stuff, but yeah. Does conspiracy hit everything? I don't remember. Oh,
Yeah.
though that's still stuff you own. Yeah.
If
Hmm.
one day there's a painter's servant, but that turns everything into worms, like
Yeah.
WURMS, then on that day, you can play that into Sarkhan Dragon General, and everyone will say, Okay, you win." Or we'll
Hmm.
we'll somehow block it with creatures that have the rules text. This creature can't become a dragon, drake, or worm.
Yeah. Yeah. Just to block it. Yeah. All non-dragon creatures gain blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Kind of brushwag style.
This does, of course, only gain control until Sarkhan leaves,
Yeah.
and so there is that benefit. Ideally, I think you're playing this even if your opponent is going to remove it, hopefully they do at sorcery speed
Hmm.
or in combat or something, because being able to have this flying haste and then everything else also has flying haste is fun.
Yeah. Yeah. A fun read for a card, kind of inspiring read for a card. And five mana 4/4 flying haste has a good baseline. It's our air elemental plus, you get to play it regardless.
Mhm. I can imagine, thinking of cubes or things like that.
Eh.
Probably not a, like, vintage powered cube sort of environment, but as a, "Here's some fun build-arounds." There's a number of cards that create, like, 6/6 worm tokens in in various ways, and if you have, like, some of those cards and you're like, "Okay, Sarkhan Dragon General, it's a 4/4 flying haste." But then I make some 5/5 or 6/6 worm tokens, and now those have flying and haste
Hmm.
too. Like, that there is some potential combination there. Realistically, most dragons and drakes are going to already have flying, and, like, some of them are gonna have haste as well,
Hmm.
but you could really take advantage of kind of here these big, beefy, unhasted, un uh, lacking evasion sort of bodies.
Yeah. Yeah. Nice
Yeah.
card. Thank you.
And I think a really fun way to make a human dragon. Like, this is the
Yeah.
intuitive way.
Yep.
If I saw this type line, I'm like,
Hmm.
"Great, this is in Foundations. It's a human dragon." People can point to Sarkhan and say, "Human dragon."
Yeah.
Our next submission is from Mr. 72. It's
New submitter.
a
Wop, 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 wop,
new
wop, wop, wop,
submitter.
wop,
Pew,
wop,
pew,
wop,
pew,
wop, wop.
pew.
Beep, 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 beep. New submitter.
And their submission is Odyssea the Farseeker, a 4/4 for 3 green and a blue, a rare legendary creature human druid with flying and vanishing 2.
Oh.
When Odyssea enters a zone she hasn't been in this game, you get an experience counter. Odyssea gets +1/+1 for each experience counter. And landfall. When a non-forest land enters the battlefield, you may return Odyssea to your hand from any zone if she's face up. Uh, Flavor text. This is nothing like the chariots on Theros.
Hmm.
Uh, Art description. A female druid is inspecting a steampunk hot air balloon in the city of Girapur, and you can see an omen path in the background. Fun.
Hmm. Little omen pathy. I like it.
I like the idea of taking the Odyssey
Yeah.
sort of journey, but fitting together the Odyssey and Around the World in 80 Days
Hmm.
together. I think Wizards might not do another travelogue set for a while after
Hmm.
Aether Drift,
Yeah.
but you can imagine a similar sort of thing.
Yeah. One kind of basic thing to break down about this, there's all this experience counter stuff, which we'll talk about in a sec, but vanishing is the one where it enters with that many counters. So 2 counters, 2 time counters. Is that what it is? Yeah, time counters.
Mhm.
It enters with 2 time counters. And then at the beginning of your upkeep, you remove a counter. And when you remove the last one, you sacrifice the creature. So if you are not doing anything special with Odyssea here, you play Odyssea. Next turn, you remove a counter. It can attack once, and then the turn after that, it dies in your upkeep or is sacrificed in your upkeep. So you get 1 attack in, 2 blocks in, sort of, if you'd rather block. That's sort of by default what you're doing with vanishing here.
Yeah. I think so the non-forest land, if Odysseus isn't a commander, I mean,
Hmm.
you're probably playing this in commander because you're dealing with experience counters, right? That's kind of
Hmm.
a
Yeah, probably.
commander focused mechanic. But if Odysseus isn't your commander,
Hmm.
then zones that she can go to the battlefield and
Hmm.
then the graveyard
Hmm.
and exile
Yep.
are gonna be the ones where, like, you can imagine her face up, and then she's 3, and then green and blue for the cost,
Hmm.
but you want as many non-forest lands as possible, which could just be green-blue duels that
Yeah.
don't
Untyped
have
duels.
forest
Yeah.
type,
Hmm.
or, like, a few of those plus lots of islands, and then you're able to kind of recur. It I suppose it's, all cards are blue, but it is a little bit funny that, "Hey, play an island, return this creature from your graveyard to your hand."
Hmm.
That's not necessarily like, okay, if I was playing the green land and getting that, I could kinda see it. Blue, I suppose, can get things back from exile because, yeah, that's a weird card
Yeah.
manipulation thing, but
The
yeah.
choice of non-forest, you're right, is kind of like, I guess non-forest means that if you're bringing it back from the battlefield, that would feel not very green to bring it back from the battlefield. From exile, maybe blue gets to do that. I'm not quite sure.
Mhm.
But I think the main thing that green is allowed to do is take a thing in the graveyard and bring it back. Like that's a very green thing to do.
Yeah. I wonder if maybe this would be kind of like Kellen, where we're seeing a human druid here, and like this on Girapur, this version of Odysseia is 3 green and a blue,
Hmm.
and maybe, oh, here you're dealing with devils on Innistrad, and it's like 3 green and a red, and you're,
Hmm.
you know, it's still doing whenever a non-forest, but you're getting a different thing. It doesn't have flying because there's no hot air balloons on Innistrad, or
Hmm.
kind of that sort of adventuring around the color pie
Hmm.
around the
Okay.
multiverse.
Yeah, you end up with different ones that all grant experience counters, but are in different sets, kind of thing. Sure.
Yeah,
Mega cycle style.
seems very plausible.
Yeah, I guess the main thing that I'm trying to figure out here. So the both the experience counter thing, that's fun. The coming back when you landfall, that's fun. But in service of what? I'm not totally sure. Like a kind of bigger attacker for one attack here and there. Um,
Yeah,
maybe that's
you're
where the cycle stuff comes in, where other things care about experience in different ways.
you're almost certainly being able to attack in as a 5/5
Yeah.
because it's the first time, and then decent chance of being a 6/6 or a 7/7.
Hmm.
Yeah, and then I guess as long as you have the landfall triggers, you can keep casting this, but you are spending 5 mana each time to get 1 attack off in
Hmm.
in the bargain.
Hmm. I guess the other question I had mechanically is if you have like four of these in your deck, do each of them separately track which zones they've been to?
Mm,
Or is
that's a
this
good point.
one kind of shared? The rules don't quite explain it, is I think is a fair conclusion to make. But what the intention was, or how it should work. Because if you have
Yeah.
an Odysseia in the graveyard and an Odysseia on the battlefield, and then you have something that shuffles them both into your library, you no longer know which Odysseas are the ones that have visited which zones. So when you draw one and play one, you don't know, is this the one that's never been to the battlefield before? Who knows?
Yeah, I think that might make this even more squarely a only play this in Commander, like, only play this in a singleton format,
Yeah.
because otherwise tracking it is going to be more particularly difficult.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
digital, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense.
And a very
But
cool first submission. Yeah. Brand new submitter.
absolutely.
Yeah.
This is a 4/4 flyer human, which
Yeah.
is
Mhm.
fitting that pretty well, and vanishing is kind of that other keyword for the Int bonus point.
Now, do you lose INT eligibility if you then have an ability word along with your keyword?
Eh,
Because you got landfall on here.
a reasonable question. Yeah, that I don't know.
The Mr. modified quarter bonus point if you have too many mechanics.
I mean, plenty of cards had landfall unkeyworded, and then, like, that was
Mm,
added onto them
I
in
see.
reprinting, right?
See. I
So,
see.
ability words, are they really just for bookkeeping, or who could say?
All right. Next up, another new submitter, Mythic Dragon. Pew 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 pew.
Pew, 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 pew. Wah,
New
wah,
submitter.
wah.
Wah wah wah. They sent us Sky Dancer Kachina, which is 4 and a white for a 4/4 flyer, human spirit. And it has an ability word here, Windswept, pay 3 life. Target creature loses flying and can't gain flying for the rest of the game. Activate only as a sorcery. The flying will fall.
Huh.
This is a fun overall effect. Hey, I fly. I can knock people out of the air so that they are grounded for life. And the cost is I pay 3 life.
Yeah. The pay 3 life feels a little funny on
Yeah. Mhm.
again, we've seen occasional, white mana cards with life payments,
Mhm.
especially the the various flying and life-leaking vampires from Ixalan, as mono
Yeah.
white life payment stuff.
Those are
As
sort of
if
like paying
Mhm.
life to keep my creature alive, which I think
Yeah,
is a little closer to being white. I'm selfless. I'm giving up my own life to keep my little guy going.
yeah. The sealing off another creature's abilities, can't gain flying for the rest of the game is a
Hmm.
fun,
Yeah.
like, okay, this is a new kind of perpetual sort of thing, presumably as long as that particular creature is just on the battlefield,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
as long as it is that creature.
Yeah.
Um, and only doing it as a sorcery, I suppose makes sense. You're probably not doing that mid-combat anyways, because, like, doing that to a creature that's already blocking doesn't stop them from being able to continue the block that they're already doing.
It's got some weird, like, if you control this creature and also you're being attacked or your opponent's thinking of attacking you,
Sure.
if you want to stop flying, you have to commit a little sooner. You can't just like wait until the end of your opponent's turn. Oh, I have 8 life going into my turn. You lose flying, I win the game. Like you have to commit
Right.
a little earlier.
If my opponent has a hasty dragon with height
Mm.
of flying.
There we go.
Um, say, I need to windswept,
Mhm.
ahead of time. A thing that was tickling the side of my memory, Kachina is a spirit in several different Native American cultures.
Oh, okay.
Uh, they're the Kachina concept has 3 different aspects: the supernatural being, the Kachina dancers, and Kachina
Oh,
dolls, small dolls carved in the likeness of the Kachina.
oh, okay.
Interesting little guys.
Yeah, that's a cool art on this. Yeah, this is a fun idea. Being able to control flying. This is maybe this is kind of fun in multiplayer where I can sort of selectively remove flyers and say, "Hey, Juliet, I removed Chris's flyer. Now you go attack them. How about that? Does that sound good?" And you're like, "Oh
Yeah,
hell yeah, let's take them out."
yeah, seems reasonable for that multiplayer sort of thing. So, do you think windswept is just like a flavor word here?
Hmm.
Or do you think we would be seeing, like, a lot of target creature loses flying and can't gain flying, or target creature
Hmm.
loses keyword and can't gain keyword for the rest of the game?
Yeah, it does feel just kind of a flavor word.
Sure.
I don't quite see a variation that would. I guess it could be the loses keyword can't gain that keyword, but then windswept is such a good match for flying. And would you windswept someone's trample away? I'm not sure.
Yeah, windswept someone's death touch doesn't really
Yeah,
make a lot of sense.
you air blast the venom off of a snake. I don't know.
But yeah, we've got I suppose what windswept is doing here is it is fulfilling the one other keyword,
Yeah.
the Febru-Air angel bonus
Okay.
point. And
Mm-hmm.
that makes sense, and this is a creature human spirit, so we've got a human 4/4 flyer.
Yeah. 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 I like this card.
Thanks for the great submission. Our next submission is from Larsent, and it is Mercurial Regent. For 3 blue and a red, it's a 4/4 creature dragon at mythic rare with flying and haste, and if this creature would leave the battlefield, instead exile it, then choose a player at random. Return this creature to the
Mm.
battlefield under that player's control.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. This is like an old school random card, like a downside of questionable,
Yeah, in
intensity,
1v1,
I guess.
this sort of like, "Okay, I'm gonna cast terror on your Mercurial Regent,
Yeah.
and then or I'm gonna cast Wrath of God," or who knows, and then let's flip a coin to find out
Yeah.
which one of us has a 4/4 hasty dragon right now.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Flying haste 4/4. We're upping the air elemental. We give it haste, but we add an extra color. I guess, are there cases where I could benefit from someone else gaining this dragon? I guess if it was goaded in some way, then I wouldn't really be too bad off in a multiplayer game.
If it wasn't for this challenge, what's the cheapest that you would be comfortable seeing a 4/4 flying haste with this drawback?
Yeah. You can't really discount it that much because it's still like if they don't have instant removal, you still get to hit them for 4 and then maybe 4 an extra time before they get around to killing it.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can't
Yeah.
go too much cheaper. Funny.
It is interesting to think that this is sometimes much worse than a generic 4/4 flyer, and
Yeah.
sometimes it is a just
Much better.
unkillable 4/4
Yeah.
haste flyer where, like, it keeps luckily turning back to
Yeah, just
me.
flip tails every time, no problem.
Being blue-red outside of 1v1, this would fit in what's the goat? Zedru?
Yeah.
Style decks where
Mm,
Zedru the Great-Hearted, a Jeskai commander, at the beginning of your upkeep, you gain X life and draw X cards, where X is the number of permanents you own that your opponents control.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so I'm happy playing my Mercurial Regent, and then if it
Mm,
gets hit by a board wipe or something, I might get it, somebody else might get it, they might attack another opponent with it rather than attacking me,
yeah.
and I can keep profiting off of this fun play.
I guess the, like, spike player in me can't think of a place I would put this in a deck. Not to
Yeah.
say that people couldn't enjoy it, not to say that if I was handed a deck with it inside it, would it create an interesting situation? Yeah, it would. But I don't know what I use it for, I guess.
I think
Hmm.
the tweak that I would make to this would be a very kinda silly thing, but if this creature would leave the battlefield, instead exile it, then flip a coin and be
Mm,
like, on heads or if you win, you, like, return to the battlefield under your control. On tails, return to the battlefield under, another random player's control.
hmm.
To both interact with other, like, blue-red randomness mechanics that specifically deal with dice or, that specifically deal with, like, coin flips,
Hmm.
and to increase if I'm 1v1, this is still just, like, exactly the same odds, but if I'm at a five-player table,
Hmm.
suddenly 50% of the time it returns to me,
Oh,
50% of
okay.
the time it
Huh.
goes to someone else.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then
Eh
if you're choosing who it goes to, then I see it more viable as a multiplayer card. Because either I get it back, which rules, or I can politic a little bit when I pick who I give it to.
Sure.
And then
Yeah.
I experience probably not a lot of downside. Yeah, that's interesting.
I think the, like, design takeaway here might be that when figuring out randomness cards and,
Hmm.
like, cards with kind of random drawbacks and things like that, figuring out ways to both optimize the fun for the players who are interested in the randomness
Hmm.
and also maybe increase the floor or decrease the feel bad for the players who are, like, not as interested in randomness, but who might be like, "Well, this is one of my few yeah, this is one of my rares
Hmm.
this draft or something. This is in my colors, or this is a 4/4 flyer with haste. Like, I do need to play it for the front side. How can I" like, just trying to, like, fine tune elements of that sort of design so that you can still also interface with other randomness mechanics.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. The randomness is. I like the stab at an effect like this because this really got me thinking and got you to, I think, a pretty good conclusion of what it would take to like make this feel like a card you want to put in a deck, which is the
Mhm.
thing that a lot of random cards struggle with. Like, if they aren't necessarily unfun cards, but if they just aren't, if they don't, is this better than the average dragon? Not really. So, yeah, thinking of how to progress randomness. I think a little bit of randomness in result is like pretty fun, maybe.
Mhm. The other home for this type of thing might be, like, Jumpstart, specifically in the sense of, like,
Hmm.
what's an environment where you can't decide not to play a card?
Oh, I thought you were trying to say what's an environment where there's almost no removal. I
Oh,
don't know.
sure. That too,
Yeah.
but where you don't get to
Yeah.
decide whether you play a card or
Yeah.
not, and so
Yeah.
then you might find it fun or unfun, but then you, like,
Yeah.
learn to experience a lack of ego about
Like a Vigo. I like this.
yeah,
All right. All right. All right.
so a very mercurial regent. We've got a 4/4 flyer for 5. We've got one other keyword. We've got the bonus point by
Mm,
having
mm,
keyword and then having some other stuff going on. And as we always ask,
mm,
is a dragon a human? And the answer is mostly
mm.
no.
Mostly no. This does mention players in the rules text who presumably are human, but this card itself is
Mm,
not a human.
yeah, really makes you think. Thanks for the
All right.
submission.
Our next card is from Dragon of the West.
Oh, sorry. I was like, "Wait, that's not a new suit of the West."
They're back with
Leaving that in.
I hope so. Uh, Submitting Wearer of Bestial Forms. This is 3 green, blue. So 5 mana, and it's double hybrid here, double hybrid mana. So 5 mana, blue or green. It's a 4/4, doesn't have flying automatically, but let's read this rules text. This creature has flying as long as you control a non-human creature with flying. This creature has trample as long as you control a non-human creature with trample. So this is a human. Oh, I guess I should have said this is a human druid. So like, I think the non-human stuff is trying to maybe
Prevent recursive loops, sort of
weird.
dependencies.
Yeah. And then it has a last ability here of 5 green, blue. Exile this card from your graveyard. Create a 1/1 blue bird creature token with flying and a 3/3 green beast creature token with trample. All right. So this is, and it's, the printing here is at common. So this is maybe trying to say you're going to draft 3 of these. And then the first one won't have all those abilities, but all the ones past the first one will.
Yeah. This being a more easily castable 4/4 for 5 mana, and then late game becoming a 4/4 flying trampler, I think seems relatively intuitive. I like the different parts of this card fitting together. You can also then try to especially get a 1/1 bird, a 1/1 fairy, a 2/2 drake, anything with flying, a 3/3 elephant with trample, lots of different options for curving out into this to make it a flying trample, so that you care about having your kind of menagerie of simic creatures with those classic kind of iconic keywords. And then if you do have some flyers, but you don't have tramplers, or vice versa, eventually 7 mana off turn, you can get an extra 4 points of power and toughness from a 1/1 flyer and a 3/3 trample token, in addition to turning on your additional wares of bestial forms. And I think that especially, it's not just like, oh, and this turns on those things, but also you get these tokens, and those tokens aren't going to break the game at 7 mana in a late game sort of thing, but they also aren't nothing in terms of also turning these things on.
Yeah, it's definitely upside. It maybe is in the idea of like, how good am I at gaining flying, where I'm willing to put my 5 mana 4/4 blank in my deck. But it seems hard to imagine that you won't at least have like 2 or 3 flyers in your deck to give this flying here and there.
Especially being able to cast this card for mono blue potentially, then it's like definitely having flyers. You could cast this card for mono green, like maybe you are in a green red deck and you have 1 flying rare card or something like that. In that case, I don't know that I'm including this card in my deck. I don't think I'm casting this for 3 green and green if it will only ever enter on turn 5 as a 4/4 trampler. I think that's just too below, right?
You can usually do better than that. And can you do better than that and also not, like, if I have some blue splash on turn 10, but I can't reliably do it before then, is like a 5 mana 4/4 that puts this creature token creation in the graveyard, is that worth playing over some other random green common big boy? I don't know. Like a 6/6 that enters and gains 4 life or whatever. There's a kind of basic thing about this on the blue side that I was trying to think through, which is like, well, has blue actually had many like 5 mana 4/4 just ground common creatures? And actually in the new Ninja Turtle set, there's a new card, Punk Frogs, who is 5 mana for a 4/5 hybrid Simic with Ward 3. So there you have sort of like a blocker, a little hard to remove, and I would say that is a bottom tier playable in Limited. So maybe blue could have a 5 mana 4/4. I don't know. That seems like a weird vanilla for blue. I don't know why. I'm getting stuck on that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a whole thing about when white first started having 4/4s that didn't have flying. Like, we have these kind of breaking the mold moments while also being not particularly super strong, super playable, or like auto include must play sort of cards that don't always hit the mark. I
Yeah.
think if this card was printed in like Return to Ravnica, this would have been a super fun Simic card.
Hmm. Oh, okay. Because maybe you have more chances to make something funny happen.
More chances, lots of tokens around that for populate and
Hmm.
everything, and also just thinking about like how the rates on creatures have changed
Yeah,
over
yeah,
time, if that makes sense.
yeah.
I in the past, a 4/4 absolute vanilla for 5 green mana, like, we played those Baloths, and
Yeah.
sometimes they did okay, and sometimes you needed them to stabilize the board until you drew your overrun.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess I'm looking throughout history now, kind of perusing here, and in the like 10 years ago or so timeline, Born of the Gods had like a 5 mana 4/4 that you need to bounce an enchantment to attack with it, which was part upside, part downside. But then more recently, we started getting 4/3 flyers for 5 at common. There's one in Thunder Junction, one in Avatar. So if you give up a point of toughness, you can be a blue flyer for 5 mana at common. Yeah, I guess I just hadn't really thought too much. I'm used to the big blue common creatures being bad, so I don't have a good mental catalog of where we're actually at in terms of balance.
Yeah, but definitely interesting stuff going on here, and I like the core of the design a lot.
Yeah, yeah. And if you have 6 flying creatures in your deck, this becomes pretty good. That
Yeah.
fourth toughness really matters somehow.
Mhm. Now I'm imagining, like, just the very occasional green card that has, like, flying and defender instead of having
Hmm.
just reach, and then playing this in the mono green thing and be like, "Ha ha!
Ah,
I
yeah.
have I have flying because my wall has flying."
I guess there's this thing almost the same as that. Another Ninja Turtles card that I've seen a couple times. Transdimensional Bovine. I don't know what this is a reference to in Ninja Turtles, but it's a 0/4 flyer that adds mana. So can it attack technically? Is it a flying attacker? No, it's not. Would it make this druid gain flying? Yeah, it would.
I'm looking at this card, and it was not remotely what I expected it to look like.
Transdimensional Bovine.
What a card. It is a massive cow's head from which the turtles are emerging and on a spacecraft.
It looks like
Wow.
maybe it like is your transportation device you get in the
Uh-huh.
mouth of Cuddly here, and then Cuddly changes dimensions and then spits you back out in your new location.
Yeah. Flavor text. The nature of a giant disembodied cyborg cow head that travels through time and space raises countless questions, but Cuddly doesn't like talking with his mouth full. Well, I'm sure somebody figured it out and somebody had fun drawing it, and then
Mm,
somebody else was like, "We don't have a reason not to make this canon for our silly
yeah.
thing." But yeah, if you can get flyers like that in green, which I think are going to be more common over the arc of time, just because people are gonna say, "Hey, this has defender," or, "Hey, this has 0 power.
Mm.
Why not give it flying instead of reach?" Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm still on Cuddly. I just Googled Cuddly. It's Cud like what a cow
Uh-huh.
chews. There's a lot of just doing a quick Cuddly TMNT search. There's a lot of Cuddly content out there. There's like many different comic pages, including one that looks a lot like this of the Ninja Turtles being spat out of Cuddly's mouth, presumably after some dimension hopping.
Uh
Wow.
Sadly, we didn't get to that in our Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles episode with
Hmm.
Riley.
Michelangelo saying, "Now that's what I call cowabunga."
Oh my gosh. Riley yesterday asked me to introduce a few poetry things
Okay.
because they are once more very into a character called Etrigan the Demon, who only speaks in like
Oh,
rhyming poetry, who I think is in like the DC comics
yeah, that sounds.
averse.
Oh, yeah, I recognize this guy. Yeah.
And I looked him up and it's like, okay, Etrigan the Demon mostly interacts with like Batman and the Batman folks and King Arthur. Those are his main. And I'm like, great,
Hmm.
cool.
Hmm.
We can work from that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways, this as a fun reason to have a human who then becomes a 4/4 flyer as a like evoking of the overlap between like green and blue flavor in that
Yeah.
way for
Yeah.
that transformation of the self. All of the parts of that really fit together neatly for the design. I think our only questions are, does the limited that you would play this in like support it to balance it? And if
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, it seems like a very solid card. And I think, like you said, if this were like a 6 years ago Simic card, it would have been a super slam.
Yeah. Our next submission is from Peter, whose name right now is Mono White Beacon Constructed. Uh,
Hmm. Nice.
I think we're missing a portmanteau in the middle of that. But from Peter, we get Updraft Elemental for 3 blue and a blue. It's a creature elemental. It's a 4/4 flyer with, when this creature enters, you return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. If you do, return up to one target creature an opponent controls to their owner's hands.
Hmm. Like I get to
Mm.
optionally cast Runaway together when this thing enters.
I'm thinking of the Bloomborough frogs a little bit with
Okay.
the kind of the gating style, like enter, bounce a thing, and
Yeah.
you're kind of
Yeah.
like jumping in and out. This definitely seems like a card that you will try to break the symmetry on.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You have a great ETB on some smaller creature you've already played. You can unshackle someone from a pacifism, some negative aura on them. You can reset your opponent's like got 3+1/+1 counters on their creature, and your creature's just a normal one. So like you lose a little bit of tempo, but they lose more. Yeah. Seems very playable.
This honestly, I think, could be in a core set style environment,
Yeah.
especially if you have some like 3 mana blue. Obviously, like Aether Channeler, I think is the the gold standard
Bounce
as
even
a
more. Okay. Mana War. Yeah.
Aether Channeler, of course, is a 2/1 for 2 and a blue that when it enters, you choose whether to create a 1/1 flyer,
Hmm.
bounce something, or draw a card. I think if you have a a common for 3 mana
Mm.
that either bounces another creature or draws a card or does something like that, so that you can then cast that in the mid game, then updraft elemental, and you're bringing that back, and then you're kind of sequencing these things together again and again.
Hmm. Just resetting it over and over. All right. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would probably put this at uncommon if we were going foundation style. I probably wouldn't go all the way down to common, but
Sure,
um,
sure.
yeah, this certainly is super playable. It earns its 5 mana cost, and I think is quite fun to play for how simple it is. Do you think so? The rules text here: when this creature enters, you return another target creature. Blah 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 blah. Do you think that's supposed to be you may return another target if you do blah 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 blah?
I
Because the "you" there is making me is not written normally, I guess is what I'm saying.
Right, right. The if you do could be there even without the you, because it's like, okay, if I don't have another creature, it is only targeting other creatures. So I don't have another creature, so that won't bounce, and then I won't bounce. Making
Hmm.
it you may then gives you more additional kind of control over
Hmm.
it. I think it's reasonable either way. It's hard
Yeah,
to
yeah.
perceive the intent of the design from that ambiguity, 'cause I agree that it's much more directed by adding the "you" rather than
Yeah.
just, "When this creature enters, return."
Yeah, what if divination said, "You draw 4 cards," or "You draw 2 cards," instead of "Draw 2 cards"? Yeah.
Mhm.
Extra "U's," why not? But yeah, super solid card, immediately obvious that it's like a playable card, that it has a lot of functionality. It's gonna do a different thing every game, which is great.
And then when your opponent is also playing a deck full of ETBs because they've learned that that's a useful thing for Magic cards to
Yeah.
be, and then you try to updraft Elemental, or if you're like, "Okay, I barely got this draft together. I've got this, I don't know, green
Hmm.
black deck or something, and then I'm trying to play my my 5 mana 4/4 non-flyer, and then you just updraft elemental my, and I'm like, "Okay, I can try casting this again. You
Hmm.
might counter it, but either way I'm behind because you have a 4/4 flyer." Like
Hmm.
that element I think makes the runaway together portion, because even if you aren't symmetry breaking on the ETBs on like what you're bouncing, even if you aren't, like, returning one of your real creatures and wiping out one of your opponent's tokens, like, even if you aren't doing any of that, you're getting a 4/4 flyer out of the mix, which
Hmm.
means, "Hey, I'm slowing everybody else down." I'm, like, making us have to recast, to spend mana to in time to recommit to the board, and I have a 4/4 flyer out. Like, I think that
Hmm.
changes that math considerably.
Got some bad news for Peter here. Card name already used. Bam, bam. It's
Wow.
just like a chaffy cons era. Dragons of Tarkir card. Just a
Updraft
French vanilla
Elemental.
1/4 flyer. Yeah. The name's too good though. Just delete the old card.
It seems very unnecessary as a there's a lot of other flavors we could have gone to, but,
Yeah.
Dragons of Tarkir is a weird set.
A lot of chaff in Dragons of Tarkir, fortunately.
I'm gonna complain about something from Dragons of Tarkir, which is one of the most important cards from Dragons of Tarkir, especially for, like, standard of that era,
Yeah.
was Death Mist Raptor,
Yes.
which
Okay.
is a weird, like, hydralisk, like,
Yeah.
dinosaur beast sort of thing, and it's like, "Hey, what's up with this one dinosaur beast being the, like, hugely
Yeah.
impactful mythic and,
Yeah.
like, big part of the megamorph?" This in no way, like, helps me understand or, like, center me on Tarkir or Dragons of Tarkir. It just
It,
some big misses in terms of what we actually
yeah.
played with from that set.
Yeah. And like it's not even close enough to be like a Sultai-ish thing. Like if it was at least like heavily that, then that would be cool.
Mhm.
I agree. Death Miss Raptor. The art's like messed up, like the anatomy of the raptor's arm is like broken. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. Objection sustained. I agree with you.
We don't object to there being powerful cards, but it is nice if the powerful cards are also, like, fun and evocative
Yeah,
of
evocative
the
for
playing
sure.
setting.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I think Updraft Elemental is evocative of the mechanics, certainly much more memorable
This
than the original
cool,
Updraft
yeah, cool
Elemental.
the Updraft Elemental, the good one, parentheses. Uh, yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
great.
Next card up is from Minnie, who is another
Pew, pew, pew. No
new
submitter.
submitter. They sent us Cosmic Nightingale, which is 3 red red for a 4/4. Doesn't have flying by default, but let's read the text. It's a human performer, and the art is like a guy with metal wings, it seems. It has warp for 2 and a red. You might remember warp from Edge of Eternity. That's the one where you can kind of cheap play it for now, have it for a turn, and then later play it for full price. When Cosmic Nightingale enters or leaves the battlefield, exile the top card of your library. You may cast it until the end of your next turn. If Cosmic Nightingale was cast from exile, put a flying and haste counter on it. Wow. And at night, he dreams about flying to space, but a man realizes he's only a man, so he spreads his wings.
So he
Oh,
spreads his wings. Uh, Warp, of course, being kind of like Evoke, but
yeah.
instead of sacrificing at end of
Hmm.
turn, it gets exiled and then you can cast it like adventure style.
Yeah, like a Vogue Adventure combo. Yeah. Which for
Mhm.
this card is quite good because you're going to warp it, exile a card, you could play it till the end of your next turn. It's going to leave right away, so you can exile a second card. And so the turn after you warp this, you'll have access to 2 cards to play. And then once you exhaust playing all that, you probably want to spend your turn 4 doing something from there. Then on turn 5, you get to play this again. It has flying and haste, and then exiles a new card. On turn 6, you can cast that card. They kill this thing, you've got another card. So you're looking at like 4 cards off of this Nightingale.
Mhm. And when you're bringing back that flying haste, the realness of this as a card in addition to it, which I think we've seen with a few of the warp cards from Edge of Eternities,
Hmm.
that they have whatever the effect is, plus, like Adventure, a secret writer of draw a card, except the card that you're drawing
Yeah,
is
sort of. Yeah.
the creature body. In this case, 4/4 flying haste, which can certainly dome your opponent.
Yeah, like a basic warp card back in the day was like Germinating Worm. When this enters, you gain 2 life. So it's sort of like, well, I'm going to pay a small amount of mana to gain a little bit of life right now. And then I've sort of got this drawn card that I get to use later where I get to later play this worm again, gain some more life, and then have a big body. Or I can, warp in a creature, get a 1/1 token, and then later get a 1/1 token plus the 3/2. Yeah, it's not fully draw a card, except for with this card where it definitely is draw a card. Like you are ripping through a lot of cards. I think such that like you never cast this flat, I would say. Like, or
Yeah, I would
if you can
agree.
really avoid it, because like even if you have like 6 or 7 mana and you're like, I can afford to play the friend side. I can afford to play the normal 5 mana 4/4. No, just cast your card draw thing, cast those cards, then later get your flying hasty beast.
Yeah, especially if I think about it, okay, it's turn 5, I just drew Cosmic Nightingale. If I
Mm-hmm.
cast it now for 3 red and a red,
Mm-hmm.
it won't be able to attack till next turn.
Mm-hmm.
If I warp it now, it will be able to attack next turn because casting it from warp, it gains the haste. So
Yeah.
even if
Great point.
I'm just caring about clock, I'm not caring about any of these other cards,
Mm-hmm.
like you might as well not expose it to extra
Yeah.
sorcery removal. Like
Yeah.
it just is kind of advantageous because of the haste component for the timing.
Yeah, another sort of rules thing to call out on this, because these work differently on different red cards. This one says you may cast it until the end of your next turn. So maybe the limiter on this card, why it's so generous, is because you can't actually hit your land drops off of this. You can only
Sure.
cast cards off of this. Compared to like there was a Warp Kavu who let you play the cards. So yeah,
Yeah, I think possibility technician.
got it.
The yeah, 3 3 for 3. Edge of Eternity is such a cool set.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, and this Cosmic Nightingale, a performer against this kind of galactic background here. I think this is a fun space for a human performer, not something I would have
Yeah.
anticipated, but I think that's a fun thing to have found for
Hmm.
the design challenge. I
The
assume
like
this Oh, sorry, go on.
good.
I assume this isn't a common, right?
No,
It's
no, it's
just
not.
submitted with a neutral. Yeah, this is a rare, I
It's
think.
pretty close to a rare, yeah. Even as an uncommon, this is a little bit of a stretch. The like haircut of this guy makes it feel like this is some like CW show. I don't know.
Sure.
That I just don't know what the show is. Like this is like a reference that we could have gotten, but we just don't happen to get. Yeah,
I think
this
it
is
could also be
supernatural or something. I don't know.
the artist using themselves as a,
Oh,
like
yeah.
photo model sort of thing to then sketch from.
Or one of those like second level fan arts where it's like people like the characters from some show, and then people wrote fanfic where they're in a different like AU, and then this is
Yeah.
fan art for that AU where they all have like robot angel wings.
This is
Uh,
my version of Tim, I don't expect you to know, who the character Grian is.
I don't think so. No,
Uh,
Grian.
yes, Grian.
I did not.
If you search, he will almost always be drawn with, like, kazooie wings is how I would describe them. Uh,
Oh, I
he's
see.
he's
Yeah.
he's a hermit crafter, a Minecraft YouTuber, but because he's flying all the time, people just draw him with, like
Oh, adorable. Yeah.
wings.
Mm,
I think that would be the analog here. But yeah,
very fun.
fun card. Thanks for a great first submission.
Yeah. Super high appeal card. People would put this in any red deck in limited for sure. This could stretch at other places as well. There's plenty of Cares About Exile red decks, so this would be good in those too.
And honestly, if there was some kind of like performer typle, like this
Mm,
is the sort of card that people are like, well, hey, this was good enough to play in those red decks.
yeah.
Now we have one card that cares about performers. Let's play 4 Cosmic Nightingale to like
Yeah. Yeah.
turn that on and do something neat there. Our next submission is from Spice Duchess. It's The Dragon of Monte Cristo. It's 3 red and a red for a 4/4 creature dragon at rare.
Hmm.
It has flying and angry, which is this creature must attack if able.
Mhm.
And when this creature dies while flying, return it to the battlefield with a first strike counter. It
Mm.
loses flying, isn't a dragon, and becomes human. Flavor text
Oh.
better to have loved and been slain.
All right. And I think this is like a composited art because there's like a credit for Tengen and a credit for Compile, which are two like old school video game makers. So I'm guessing these are from two different old video game covers.
Yeah, we have a dragon and we have a woman, and I would vaguely say a mask that I think in old school design would denote like you're from like a barbarian folk or
Space
like space
Barbarians.
barbarian. Yeah, yeah, space
Yeah.
barbarian. Maybe looking to
Hmm.
an orb of some sort.
Yeah.
It is interesting that Monte Cristo is the is the pull here.
Yeah.
Like Dumas is the Count of Monte Cristo, but a dragon.
Oh, you don't think
The
it's the
thing
sandwich?
Oh. You know, you could be right. Monte Cristo is a story about, like, leaving and then coming back as another person. The go-to for me, though, here would be much more of, Peter Spiegel's The Last Unicorn,
Oh.
which is a unicorn who then becomes a human woman.
Oh.
She finds that she's the last of all the unicorns, and then to save her from the Red Bull, she's made who's like the scary red this is a big Red Bull.
Okay.
She gets turned into Lady Amalthea, a woman, and then it's about her kind of new experience as a woman and how terrible and terrifying it is to be a person
Uh,
as unicorns and magic are leaving the world. Great
hmm.
book, great movie. I recommend them both.
Oh, it's like an animated thing.
Mhm, mhm.
Okay.
It has great music, weird music, kind of a wild cast. I think, like
Ooh. Got Jeff Bridges in there,
yeah,
Christopher Lee. All
Jeff
right.
Bridges sings
Oh.
badly
Oh.
in a very charming way. He
Okay.
plays a kind of love interest. I'm pretty sure he plays, Prince Lear
Oh,
in
okay.
that, and he's quite young, all
Huh.
things considered.
All right.
I recommend The Last Unicorn. It's good.
All right. So
Anyways.
here we have to attack every turn.
Uh-huh.
It doesn't have haste, so it's like a air elemental that has to attack every turn. But then it gets a second life, but without flying, but with first strike, which is only a small downgrade from flying on a huge creature.
Yeah, it's interesting that I maybe it just fits the flavor better for when this creature dies with flying, because I think I'd be prone to say when this creature dies without a counter, returns to the
Hmm.
battlefield with a first strike counter in the style of a undying or persist or things like that, that they just use the counter as the tracker.
Hmm.
But ultimately it shouldn't have
Yeah.
flying and first strike natively on its own. But if you have some way to give this flying
Hmm. You bring it back.
as a human, it can just keep recurring. So
Hmm.
if you have a static, all creatures you control have flying
Yeah.
and some sort of sacrifice outlet, you can just keep sacrificing this over and
Uh,
over again
there you go.
and returning it.
Very nice. Yeah, it's kind of funny to have this. This is a little bit like that when the Larson card, when it dies, give it back to a new person. Here it's so that's the kind of a downsidey thing. This is splitting the difference and saying you don't get to come back full strength, but you do get to come back once.
Mhm.
There was a Avatar card, Fang, Roku's companion, who's another flying dragon. That one's a little more generous than this card, which is fine. But that comes back as a dragon spirit, and then it can't come back once it's a dragon spirit. So a similar sort of like I can come back once type card.
Yeah. It still keeps angry after it comes back,
That's
which
true.
it feels funny to me. I feel as though in some way the angry should just be on the
Mm,
front half or just be on
should
the back
release
half.
its stress. Yeah.
Yeah. Should it get
Okay.
angry because it died? Or maybe it
Mm.
was angry the first time because it was a dragon, angry the second time because it died.
Hmm.
How do you feel about keywording what is probably this creature must attack each combat if able, I think is the modern wording for that ability?
I think it has kind of a meme quality in the aesthetic of this card that I think is good because it's not really any shorter because you have the reminder text on here, but saying
Mhm.
angry and having this like old school wacky art and kind of the, what is this, the color shifted frame or whatever you want to call that. Like all that combines to a positive effect to me, even if I don't know if I'd put angry on more than 3 cards ever, but it's funny here.
Makes me think of the Hercules yelling, "Disappointed!" Sort of
Mm-hmm.
thing, but just, like, yelling, "Angry!" I don't know, something about the capitalization of angry is
Okay.
making it seem like it's being yelled here.
Okay. I like it.
This is a 4/4. Oh, you know what the angry is doing? The angry is fulfilling the, Febru-Air angel bonus point.
There you go, getting that Eind point, snatching it right off the shelf. I like it.
I was looking for more new keywords in
Yeah.
keywording things,
Yeah,
so this
yeah.
is fun. Honestly, if it didn't gain the first strike counter, I
Hmm.
think you might be able to keyword something like, "Hey, when this creature dies, if it's not a human, it, like,
Hmm.
loses its other abilities and enters as a human,"
Hmm.
as a kind of like, "Hey, this is a world where a lot of stuff is, like, super powered things," and then it just, like,
Uh,
downgrades into kind of a vanilla keeps it power and toughness in the style of Embalm, something like that,
yeah.
but, like, as humans instead of as zombies.
Persist,
Yeah,
yeah. Yeah, if you could get it just right, yeah, I agree. You could get this on 8 cards, 10 cards, whatever you want.
and, this is, in a way, a 4/4 flying human.
There we go. All right, one more bonus card here from Chris Tom Riley. He's got Thopter Squadron Leader. This is 4 and a blue for creature human artificer. It's also got flying and it's a 4/4, so we're all good there. And then it has Overhaul. At the beginning of your end step, return target Thopter creature that entered the graveyard this turn to the battlefield. Oh.
So this is a blue recursion,
Hmm.
but you're mostly, Thopters are kind of by default artifacts. So
Yeah.
this is just returning artifacts, which blue can do sometimes.
Hmm.
And it's interesting that it isn't saving tokens, which is, I think,
Hmm.
I don't know, I'd
Yeah.
say 3/4 of the Thopters I encounter are,
Yeah,
are
I guess
tokens.
that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
There definitely are Thopter cards, though.
Yeah. Ornithopter, Pilgrim's Eye. What are the other big ones?
Is Thopter Foundry a Thopter? Not Thopter Foundry, Thopter, you know the one.
Hmm.
The big
The
creature
old one.
that
Yeah.
turns into, Thopter Assembly,
Hmm. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
totally distinct from, Thopter Foundry, one
Yeah.
of which is a artifact, and one of which is a 5/5 artifact Thopter that,
Yeah.
turns into lots of little guys.
Yeah, I think part of what you're implying was maybe that this is a little closer to a white card because it's
Mhm.
bringing back little guys over and over.
Yeah, I would more squarely like this in white or in
Mhm.
some multicolor with blue.
Yeah. I guess it's like getting right to the border. Like, could blue recur, like bring back multiple non-creature artifacts? Probably that's reasonably blue. But bringing back a lot of weenie artifacts definitely feels closer to white. But I think also this is like an appealing card because it's like, hey, do you like Thopters? A bunch of people say, I don't know. And then a bunch of people say, hell yeah, I love Thopters. And then those people are very excited to get a card just for them.
If you're extrapolating out overhaul as a ability word, probably, um,
Oh.
what do you think that is? Does every overhaul card just have return target Thopter creature that enter the
Oh.
that it says
Hmm.
enter the graveyard. So, like, could this also you just mill some
You mill some
expensive
Thopters.
Thopters
Yeah.
and
Discard a
then return
Thopter.
them?
Yeah. Expensive Thopters. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, return target Thopter. Could you get? I don't think you could get 10 of those, but you could have like a good chunk of them, like a soul shift or some other, like kind of recursive effect. If we go
Yeah.
outside of blue and white, are there any other overhauling colors? Would green overhaul? Would black or red overhaul? Maybe.
I think red can specifically
Yeah.
because red can do, like, goblin engineer sort of
Hmm.
things,
Yeah.
and especially if, like, your thopters in your environment are, like, ornithopter, like, style thopters, and we
Mm.
have just here in red, we can sacrifice those to things and then just cast them again, or if overhaul isn't a keyword, is an ability word, but, like, has different triggers, like
Mm.
or sacrifice an artifact, return a thopter sort of thing. You're like, "Great, I've got a
Yeah.
3/1 for 2 in a red thopter that I'm gonna keep attacking in and bringing back," or something like that.
This was, I think the last time we had heavy Thopter talk, you also taught me that Thopter is the wrong place to have cut off that word.
Yes,
Uh,
yeah, it's
Ornitho and Ter.
ornithopter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I learned. Yeah, I guess maybe the kind of is it.
It's similar for overhaul. It's overha and ul.
All right. Settle down, English major.
It's actually o and verhal. It should be pronounced werhal.
Warehall, yeah.
Yeah, wer meaning man,
Yeah,
and
greater Warehall, yeah.
hal meaning hue, which is where we get the term human from.
Yeah. I I was about to make a serious point, but this is also a fun bit, so I don't know what to do.
No, no, no,
I'm
continue,
down.
please.
I was wondering, like, is there potential to use like a how do we feel about like ability words that are used on like 6 cards to just create like a pocket of a thing in a set? Like not enough to be one of the pillars of the set, but like, oh, I kind of want to have this Thopter vibe going and I want to connect them all. And my vision for it is that like 6 different things are going to bring back Thopters. Is that okay? Or is that you shouldn't be using, we're in pack tactics mode, which is maybe the last thing I can remember that attempted that.
Yeah, pack tactics is definitely the first one that comes to mind, but there is another one that I think did it fairly successfully,
Okay.
even more recently, which is jump from the Final Fantasy set,
Oh,
where
okay. Yeah.
jump
Mm.
is effectively a flavor word. It just says,
Yeah.
"During your turn, this creature has flying,"
Mm.
and I think incredibly, like, super helps the like, 4 cards that it's on.
Sure. Yeah, yeah.
And the fact that
Alright.
it's only on 4 cards, wow, I'm looking, is it only on 3 cards? But, like, it
Oh,
does a whole lot on those 3 cards,
yeah.
and you could, like, extend that out. I could easily put that on a non-Final Fantasy card, and it would be useful.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so I think that's where I would extrapolate out
Hmm.
is, am I going to put pack tactics on another card? And is that going to help you quickly know what that card does?
Hmm. Yeah.
Probably, maybe not. But if
Yeah, pack
overhaul is a
tactics.
specific thing, and then
Yeah.
I can bring it into this
Hmm.
set, or in this set, it's like, I don't know, probably not servo overhaul because that's like just strictly less interesting than Thopter. But like if it's golem overhaul or
Hmm.
something like that,
Mhm.
or vehicle overhaul. All of this sounds very wordy, but, like, I do think that I am pro the potential that small batch ability word and small
Mm.
batch flavor words and things like that can have for helping players easily shortcut and make it easier for cards to read,
Yeah, yeah.
but you just have to, like, it's one of those, if you do it well, it's good.
Hmm.
But I think jump is evidence that you can do it well,
Yeah.
and, I often think about, is it M11 that brought Scry back on, like, 3
Oh.
cards? But, like,
Huh.
that was still a big part of the set despite
Yeah.
barely showing up in the set, and yeah.
So pack tactics, I think, was as confusing as it was helpful. Like it didn't really pass the bar. And part of the thing with pack tactics, I'm going to just read 1 or 2 of these just so we can sort of
Mhm.
remember it. It might say something like pack tactics. Whenever Battlecry Goblin attacks, if you attacked with creatures with total power 6 or greater this combat, create a 1/1 red goblin creature that is tapped and attacking. Whenever Hobgoblin Captain attacks, if you attack with creature with total power 6 or greater this combat, the Hobgoblin Captain gains first strike until end of turn. Like pack tactics is trying to draw a common thread between like a double clause of like when it attacks,
Mhm.
if it was blah 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 blah. Maybe in this overhaul example, if the effect is the same, but just the way that it triggers or the way that it's like the way that it happens is different. Maybe that's a little bit better because then the overhaul is saying, hey, you know what the second half of this sentence will be? It's just a different start of the sentence each time,
Yeah.
and that might be a little more successful.
I think, the shifted this creature can potentially also help
Oh,
these
okay.
these effects be more similar. If
Hmm.
pack tactics, instead of saying whenever Knoll Hunter or Battle Cry Goblin, it's just too many words. Whenever Knoll Hunter attacks, if you attacked with creatures with a total power 6 or greater this combat, instead saying whenever this creature attacks alongside creatures
Yeah.
with total power 6 or greater,
Yeah.
or like some construction, like shorten that by 4 words, and suddenly
Yeah.
we're
Mm.
doing good again.
Mhm.
Like suddenly
Mhm.
this is a helpful thing, and we can go, great, I know what this means.
Yeah.
And that might mean like, tasking a team of people who do templating, like, "Hey, everybody work this week until we figure
Yeah.
this out." It might mean introducing m more different symbols, or, like, maybe we
Mhm.
italicize different parts of a text to make it clear which parts are always the same or something. Like, there are things still available to us that magic templating hasn't done
Mm.
yet, and,
Mhm.
are always moving along that frontier,
Mhm.
hopefully in a positive direction.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just like the Peck Tactics is just like a little too wordy for it to feel like you're saving any time, and instead you're just stuck reading 7 lines of rules text on each of these cards.
Yeah. Yep. And the real kind of downside comes when a card is like, well, we want to kind of have it, but we want to be breaking the rules. So then do you make the card design worse to fit
Mm.
with all of the other ability word in
Mm.
this set? Or do you just have it be extra long as it says, okay, but here's the exception this time. And so, if you have the time to figure out what are all of the effects of this in the set,
Mm.
I've been working on Starcrossed Lovers of New Capenna,
Mm.
and I have a few cards that work very similar to Dash, but aren't on the creatures themselves. Like, oh, here's this
Mm.
reanimate spell that works very similar to Dash. I wish there was a way I could put like, hey, do you see how this is just like the other Dash cards in this, Grixis color sort of setup? But I don't have a way of doing that because it just functionally isn't the Dash mechanic. Um,
Mm.
and so ways to fit that in, sometimes you can just put that in the card name somewhere where it's like a pun on what the name of the keyword or ability word.
Mm.
But I do think some of this stuff is possibly like good. And I can imagine overhaul in some version meaning something that you then use and can refer to.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, finding exactly when to do that, when it, like, maybe costs you more than it helps you,
Right.
when you have to work around it. Okay.
And knowing at a certain point in set design, if you have the time before you're releasing cards or whatever to say,
Mm.
is this saving us time? Is this saving us energy? Is this saving us attention when
Yeah.
you're drafting a whole bunch of cards and you're looking at a pack and figuring out which ones? Or is this like adding an extra line of text to every uncommon? And then it's like, okay,
Mm.
is that
Yeah.
worth the time?
Mm.
Maybe, maybe not.
Yeah. I guess it's also nice. It has another bonus of adding a little identity to something like, oh, I drafted the Pack Tactics deck this time. I drafted the Overhaul deck. By having a name on the card, it like maybe makes it a little more satisfying to play
Mhm.
if it works correctly, I guess. It's like a multiplier on success, maybe.
I think Andrew Sherman has an old article on
Oh.
what one of the pre-modern sets about whether or not like keywords matter and how players will
Mm.
sometimes see, oh hey, here's this thing that's like cycling but from the battlefield, and players just don't even see it as a mechanic because it doesn't have a keyword. And
Mm.
you could go too far, but I do think ability words help at a certain level. Like Pack Tactics, I would not remember that mechanic at all, and I would think that that set had fewer mechanics if it didn't call all of that Pack Tactics, even if they all had the exact same rules text.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. Alrighty. Well, that was our last one. So maybe what are our favorites here?
I think I'm gonna go with Cosmic Nightingale. It
Hmm.
is
Good choice.
maybe intent maybe part of it is, well, this card is really good, and I bet if I had
Yeah.
a bunch of this card in my deck, I would win games because of it.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
like, that's fun, and that is one of the reasons why we have 4/4 flyers for 5 mana with upside is so that, "Hey, I got this card onto the battlefield. I can win the game because of it. If I made the right choices beforehand and nothing trumps it in the late game afterwards,
Hmm.
this can cinch this game for me, even if the rest of the board is at parity in a way."
Mhm.
And like that literally is an intentional part of helping games end
Hmm.
and helping players go, wait, what cards do I include? Well, I will include this
Yeah.
4
For sure.
power flyer with upside for 5 mana. I'm going to include that because it will help me end games positively.
Hmm. There's a lot of cool ones. We got a lot of
Mhm.
like good utility cards. I mean, I guess that's the benefit of the air elemental challenge is that they all like the baseline of all these is like, well, I could win a game with this.
Mhm. And we got some that can only attack once or have to be turned
Yeah.
on to work.
Yeah. Like we had
Yeah.
the extra turn dragon, so they're not all like slam powerful cards. Odysseus was another one that's like this does a bunch of things, whether it wins you the game or not, is maybe on you and your deck building.
Mhm.
I think I just had a lot of fun reading our first card, Leisure Blimp from Red Bay. That's the vehicle that probably makes you a 1/1 when it enters and then evokes some sort of like travel mechanic, travel destination. Because I'm curious what people want to do with that. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I think I'm going with Leisure Blimp.
Some great submissions. We've got some great new submitters. This
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
exciting design challenge, and
Bumper crop.
the the end of one design challenge marks the beginning of another. For the month of March, we have Year of the Horse.
Hmm.
Design a legendary card with saddle.
Legendary card. It's probably going to be a creature, but I'm sure someone's going to make not a creature with saddle
Mhm,
somehow. And then saddle is sort of like this typically this thing you do before combat, and then you get a combat trigger if you've saddled.
mhm,
Though there's probably room to innovate on that as well, where you're not
mhm.
necessarily following the same template as the existing saddle cards.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be a horse. It has horse in the name, but you're not required to be a horse. You're just horse in spirit, I guess.
So far, we've seen a number of good submissions and surprisingly few horses, which I think is it is part of why I was like, well, I could ask for a horse or a specific,
Hmm.
set of things, but I've asked for design a legendary card with saddle. We've got some bonus points here. First of which
Mm.
is Casimir Pulaski Day. The card is or cares about knights. And then our other all men have their appointed time. That's something no horse can change bonus point, which asks for an effect that lasts indefinitely.
Is that like
Also
Shakespeare or something?
no, this is from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, like, just
Oh,
a
okay.
straight direct quote
Mm,
from the Romance of the Three Kingdoms that also shows up as flavor text in
mm.
the Portal Three Kingdoms set. It's about, this cursed horse.
Oh.
Everyone's like, "Hey, no, this horse, like, might seem strong or whatever, but it will,
Oh,
like, ruin you."
okay.
Uh, and the protagonist of the story goes, "Well, hey, wait a minute, but it's a horse. Like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die. I need to ride this horse across this river."
Mm.
And he survives until much of the way through the story when I won't spoil the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, but, uh, it doesn't stay Three Kingdoms. It doesn't start as Three Kingdoms, and it
Mm,
doesn't stay Three Kingdoms forever.
mm. There just
Anyways,
was at one point 3 cool kingdoms.
yeah, yeah, especially at a few big battles. You can kind of
Very
lump
nice.
things into some big factions. Anyways, those submissions are going to be due March 27th.
After having a double episode for 2 months in a row, chat's also been conspiring. What would it take to have a triple episode? And I think we set the bar around like 33, 36, somewhere in there. I don't know if people
Yeah.
are going to recruit that many new submitters. We would need a good chunk of new submitters to hit that, but put us through that torture, please.
I was like, okay, this is going to be a somewhat narrower saddle is kind of a narrower
Yeah,
mechanic than
yeah,
flying.
yeah,
And people are st people are coming up with really interesting stuff.
yeah.
I'm fascinated and will continue to be, and I look forward to reviewing those at the end of the month.
Alrighty.
So that's our podcasts for this week. You can join our Discord with the link in the show notes.
So, if you are one of our new listeners, of which we have a bunch, and you're interested in being part of the podcast, we actually have a contributors role and channel in the Discord. So, if you are interested in being on an episode, pitching episodes, pitching channels, that kind of stuff, you could just elect to give yourself that role, and then you'll pop up in that channel and you can chat with us about future episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. Always some fun things to talk about.
Yeah.
But until next time, thanks for listening. And always remember podcasts are a way of traveling to a destination of your choice.